The battle for the bridges over the Skeletus River on Armageddon lasted for several months, with both sides pouring reinforcements into the area. Once it became obvious that they were in for a prolonged defensive campaign, the Blood Angels began to dig in and build defensive fortifications. The Orks continued to batter away at the Space Marines' defensive positions, hurling their forces at the stalwart defenders. On numerous occasions they managed to capture Space Marine positions, only to be beaten back by the furious counterattacks of the Blood Angels. Finally, after weeks of fruitless attacks, and with his reserves of troops running out, Ghazghkull decided to stake everything on one last big offensive.
Hi, I'm Ed, welcome to Minisodes, and in this video James and I will be playing Mission 4, Strongpoint, from White Dwarf 169. This mission was designed to showcase the battle bunker and its rules, and also continue the campaign originally included in the box game. Let's take a look at our forces.
You have defended your position against numerous Ork attacks over the last few days. Although each attack has been beaten off, your command has been reduced to almost 50% of its starting strength. Now reports are flooding in of a major Ork offensive all along the line. No reserves are available to help you, so you must defeat the Ork attack with only the forces under your command. Above all, you must make sure that the Orks do not capture either of your battle bunkers. The eyes of the Emperor are upon you. You must not fail.
I would have command of 3 combat squads in this mission. Squad Danton, armed with a chainsword, 3 bolt guns, and a flamer. Squad Leonardius, 4 bolt guns, 1 missile launcher armed with frag and crack missiles. Squad Faustus, 4 bolt guns, 1 missile launcher armed with frag and crack missiles. Now over to the Orks.
This is the big un, lads. The boss says we've got to capture the Umi bunkers and kill all the Umi scumbags in them. We've got a dreadnought, some dead-hard Goffs, and a bunch of sneaky Gretchen to do it with. And the boss says that he sent a bunch of Goffs and a dreadnought to sneak round the side of the Umis to get a jump on them while the Gits is shooting at us. That'll teach them, eh, lads? Right then. Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Dad Destroyer. Ork Dreadnought armed with 2 power claws, a heavy bolter, and a las cannon. Skardreg's Mob. 10 Goff Orks armed with bolt pistols and axes. Wazod's Mob. 10 Goff Orks armed with bolt pistols and axes. And many Gretchen. 4 mobs of 10 Gretchen armed with autoguns. In addition, the Orks have cleverly sent a force out to hit the Marines' flank whilst the assault is in progress. The way this works is, when James loses 10 of his Ork warriors, he can bring them back on from either side table edge of the battlefield on the following turn. The same goes for his Dreadnought. These additional forces are Das Snapper and Bad Fang's Mob. This mission lasts 6 turns. As the defender, I deployed my Space Marines first, placing Squad Faustus and Squad Leonardius in the bunkers, each with a commanding view of the battlefield. I took a bit of a gamble by deploying Squad Danton further forward, the intention being to meet James's Orks head on to try to stall their attack with frag grenades and Promethium. James pulled this tactic off to great effect in our last game, so I was eager to try it against him. James deployed his mighty horde, placing Da Destroyer in the centre behind cover and screening his Goff Orks behind ranks and ranks of Gretchen. Nice. We then rolled for first turn. In this scenario, the Orks add a 3 to their result and the Marines add a 5, with the result a 10-6 in the Marines' favour. The Blood Angels would be getting the first turn. That was good news. Squad Danton could now race into cover behind the ruins and await the arrival of the Ork horde. With the bolters out of range, it was time to fire the missile launchers from Squads Faustus and Leonardius. The first cracked missile hit the Ork dreadnought in the arm, but failed to penetrate, and the second failed to strike the target at all. In James's first turn, he ran his whole right flank forwards. Making sure to keep his Goth warriors screened behind the Gretchen, James applied the same tactic on his left flank. With another mob of Gretchen bringing up the centre. James decided to keep his dreadnought where it was for the time being. In the shooting phase, the dreadnought blazed away at Squad Danton, but missed with both the heavy bolter and las cannon. What a relief. In my second turn, Squad Danton boldly engaged the Green Tide, leaping over the ruins to meet the foe. In my shooting phase, Squad Danton's flamer opened up, immolating 2 Goths and 1 unfortunate Gretchen. 2 more Marines hurled frag grenades into the Gretchen mob, sending shrapnel flying into their ranks and eliminating 6 more Gretchen. Reeling from this assault, the Gretchen broke and ran 9 inches into cover. We also rolled a break check for the Ork mob, who failed, then legged it into safety behind the nearby ruin. We definitely should not have done this, as they only took 2 casualties, not enough for the 25% needed to check morale. Maybe they're just particularly cowardly. Squad Leonardius put another crack missile into their destroyer, striking the contraption's las cannon and putting it out of action. Seeing the Gretchen running into the kill zone, the rest of Squad Leonardius rapid-fired into the diminutive greenskins, slaying half the mob in a brutal volley of bolts. The survivors then broke and hunkered down behind the quaking survivors of Botchit's mob. Squad Faustus's missile did not connect with their destroyer, but their bolters did eliminate 2 advancing Gretchen. Quite a punchy turn for the Blood Angels. Would James be able to regain the momentum in the second turn? James moved his Gretchen to cover the Marines with their autoguns, whilst on his right flank, the Gretchen ran up the field, followed closely by the Goth warriors, who were careful to keep as much cover between them and the Marines' fortified positions as possible. In the shooting phase, the Gretchen sprayed Squad Danton with bullets, succeeding in overwhelming the power armor on 2 Marines, one of whom was armed with the flamer. Not bad, lads. And with its las cannon disabled, their destroyer decided to get stuck in and lumbered 12 inches up the field. At the end of James's turn, he rallied Skardreg's mob, along with the 3 remaining Gretchen from Scrimp's mob. I began by charging Squad Danton into the Gretchen responsible for killing their 2 battle brothers. Squad Faustus then fired their missile launcher into their destroyer, but missed again. The Bolter Marines had more luck, greasing 3 more grots, who decided that caution was the better part of valor. The missile from Squad Leonardius struck their destroyer in the hull, penetrating it.
The dreadnought's engine bursts into flames, and the machine is immobilized.
The Gretchen may use emergency controls to fire 1 weapon. Roll a d6 at the beginning of each player's turn. The machine explodes on a roll of 1 or 2.
One of the squad's bolt rounds found their mark and slew one of Wazod's boys. And in the close combat phase, Squad Danton tore through 3 Gretchen. The rest of the mob broke and dashed into the nearby ruins.
The machine explodes on a roll of 1 or 2. Any models within 3 inches suffer d6 strength 10 hits with a -3 saving throw modifier.
Cheering with glee at the fireworks, Skardreg's mob moved up, looking to blast Squad Danton with their pistols. On the right flank, Wazod's mob ran into the ruins, closing in on the battle bunker occupied by Squad Faustus. In James's shooting phase, his Goths blasted Squad Danton, slaying Sergeant Danton himself, another hero claimed by the dust of Armageddon. The remaining Marines failed their morale check and were now shaken, but knew no fear. Seeing the Blood Angel sergeant go down, the nearby Gretchen found their nerve once again. I went straight into the shooting phase this turn, and Squad Faustus launched a frag missile into the mass of Wazod's mob. The missile missed and scattered harmlessly 10 inches away. Their bolters again had more success, neutralizing another 2 Orks. Faring the same as Squad Faustus, Squad Leonardius's frag missile scattered harmlessly away from Skardreg's mob. Oh dear, but their bolters did claim 2 more GOFFs, and the Marines from Squad Danton failed to down any more Orks. In James's 4th turn, the Snapper appeared and stomped towards the embattled Blood Angels from their left flank, much to the excitement of Wazod's mob, who surged forwards to lay down some supporting fire. The Gretchen and Skardreg's mob closed once again with Squad Danton. In James's shooting phase, the Snapper aimed at the Marines on the battlements of the bunker, spraying them with heavy bolter fire and killing a Marine, but the Dread's last cannon beam lanced wide of the mark. Wazod's boys fired their bolt pistols, wounding the 2 Marines on the battlements, who both failed their armor saves, leaving just 2 surviving Marines from Squad Faustus inside the bunker. Skardreg and the Gretchen stitched the ruins with fire, but failed to finish off Squad Danton. Unable to draw a bead on the second dreadnought, Squad Leonardius put a missile into Wazod's mob, but failed to wound a single greenskin. Blasting away defiantly from inside the bunker, Squad Faustus downed another Ork. Squad Danton fired at the Gretchen and slew another. With a mighty James threw the Snapper headlong into the bunker. Skardreg's mob, their axes glinting in Armageddon suns, smashed into Squad Danton, whilst the Gretchen moved up in good order. Wazod's mob stayed where they were, waiting eagerly to finish off any survivors from the Snapper's onslaught. Throwing 4 attacks into the bunker, the Snapper penetrated the ferrocrete twice and then rolled a 6 on the damage table.
The bunker collapses in a pile of rubble. Any models inside the bunker or on the roof must make their armor saving throw on a d6 or be slain by falling debris. Survivors may not move or shoot in their next turn.
Another member of Squad Danton died in furious hand-to-hand combat, but so did 2 Orks. In my final turn, I had limited options, but at least Squad Leonardius had a clean shot at the Snapper now that the bunker had collapsed. Alas, despite hitting, the crack missile failed to penetrate the hull of the Ork war machine. Squad Danton's lone Marine failed to kill any Orks with his bolter. In James's last turn, Bad Fang's mob turned up, hot on the big stompy heels of the Snapper. Wazod's mob moved up to perform the coup de grace on the stunned survivors of Squad Faustus, whilst James's Gretchen closed off any escape for Squad Danton. In the shooting phase, the final member of Squad Danton went down in a horrific deluge of fire. The Snapper bore down on Squad Faustus, scoring a hit with its last cannon, but failing to wound. The heavy bolter spent this turn unjamming. Bad Fang and Wazod's mob fired next, killing another Marine, but Sergeant Faustus remained defiant amidst the wreckage of the bunker and his fallen comrades. James then attempted to rally his remaining forces, but could not bring his broken Gretchen back into line. So, at the end of this game, my Blood Angels scored 1 victory point for each of the broken Gretchen mobs at the end of the game, and another victory point for destroying the Dreadnought. James scored 1 victory point for inflicting 3 or more casualties on Squad Faustus, 1 victory point for wiping out Squad Danton, and 3 victory points for demolishing a bunker. So, a resounding and well-deserved victory for the Orks. This may be the 4th and final mission in the Battle for Armageddon campaign, but it won't end there for us. I've already added quite a few units to my Blood Angels, and I have lots of Orks ready to be painted up. Expect to see buggies, commandos, weird boys, and mega armor in the future as the battle for Armageddon rages on. Thanks so much for watching, and happy hobbying.